I am so happy to share that we now have a new capability within the Cisco Intersight Virtual Appliance. And from version 1.1.4 onward, it is now possible to drop to a shell. And this feature is now going to allow you as a user to drop to a read-only shell, which will be a restricted environment, but it gives you access, real-time access to the log files. It allows you to do health checks on the appliance and make sure that on the appliance side, everything is working the way how it should. And it gives you all the troubleshooting tools that you're already familiar with, like curl, TCP dump, and NSLOOKUP, and tracepath. So some of the benefits I see here for our customers and partners is that you don't have to log a tech case anymore. In many, many cases, I hope. This is going to allow you to troubleshoot issues by yourself. It's going to make life much easier as well for customers who are running the private virtual appliance in air-gapped scenarios. I've heard scenarios where people are reading out all the characters over the phone because there's just no way to communicate those tokens. But now, for many troubleshooting commands, you can already do it without the SWIMS token. Let me give you a quick demo of how it works. You can log in to the appliance with the admin user. And after you log in, you're now going to see a new option in the diag menu, which is called the read-only maintenance shell, number 10. And when you drop to the shell, there are some basic information here that is important to understand. Because when I'm going to look at the IP configuration of the appliance, you're going to see a weird IP address that's not the IP address which you configured on the appliance. This is because you're inside a restricted environment, inside a container. And this is explained the moment when you log in. Will explain what the actual IP address is. And if you, by the way, if you want to get the exact network config, you can always go here and select option A, show current network configuration. But when you drop to the shell, it's in a restricted environment. So you have this IP address. And, but if you want to do a TCP dump, we did create a wrapper script, and made that available to you that allows you to do a TCP dump on this interface as well. One more warning that is important to realize when you're working in this read-only maintenance shell is that some files have been remapped to different file locations for you to be able to access it. That means maybe you see a reference that a file should belong in a certain place, but you actually find it somewhere else. That is okay. That is intentionally done like this. So do not get confused by that. And then we have some sudo commands that you can do. So quick demo. What can you do? Who are you? You are a new user called admin read only. You have your own home directory in which you can write files, which you can copy in and out. And, well, actually, you can only copy them out. You cannot copy anything into the appliance because when you log in with the admin user, you end up in this diag menu. And you can look at the processes which are running, all the processes. And when we start on the system level, there are some interesting commands you can use. For example, systemctl is there, and you can check the status of all the system services. If you want to be more specific, you can check perhaps Kube API server. And you can see that the Kube API server is loaded and active, and some of the log entries. Regarding the log entries, we did give you access as well to journalctl, where you can check specifically for some services what the status is, and you can follow the logs just like you are familiar with using journalctl. But for example, let's look at cronid. You can see here the status of our NTP server, and you can see the source which is used in order to synchronize your NTP time. So that's a little bit on the system side of things. Now let's go to the log files. By the way, you can also check your disk usage, of course. And now when we go to /var log, you'll find lots of familiar Linux log files. I'm not going to mention all of them because a lot of them are normal Linux log files, but I'm going to call out a couple of log files that might be of interest. When you go to the Ansible directory you will see all the install logs, and you will see the last upgrade log and an archive of all the install and upgrade logs. So for example, when I go to the last upgrade directory, here we can see the log file, and I can look at it, and you'll see this massive Ansible playbook execution log file, and which could help troubleshooting your issues. There is an install directory where you can see the install log files. So that's what you can find in the Ansible directory. Then there's also the Equinox directory. Equinox is the device connector that runs on the appliance, which also plays a crucial role during the installation. It's one of the first services that comes up and helps with the installation of the appliance. So it's also a good log file to take a look every now and then if you run into issues with the appliance, especially during installation, or if you have any issues with SaaS connectivity. And then finally, you can check the log files of all the services that make up the entire Kubernetes application. So just to give you a small overview, you can do kubectl get pod, and this will show you all the services which are running. I wonder how many it are. We have about 120 services running that make up the application. And if you want to access any of the log files, unfortunately with kubectl logs, you cannot do it because that is restricted. You only have the get command. It's again a read-only situation. But you can go into the /var log andro directory, and here you'll find a couple of the services already. And then if you go into the front end directory, you'll find a lot more. And then when you go into maybe Oslo, you can see that all the log files are there. Now keep in mind, these are very verbose debug logs. Okay. I do not expect you to read them or understand them. I do not. But the reason here is, what I do, if I have to troubleshoot an issue in an application that I'm not so familiar with, I just grab through all of the log files, right? So I'll do a grab. Maybe I'm looking for an IP address of my DNS server, and then everything here. And then I'll just do a recursive search. And then you're going to find, which log you should be looking at. Let's do a little bit of network troubleshooting. So you can see we have NSLookup. I could do an NSLookup of svc.intersight.com. You'll see that it works. I can do a curl to svc.intersight.com probably. Hold on, curl. Well, actually, I am behind the proxy, so I'm going to have to set my proxy variables before I can do that. And then I should be able to, hold on a second. This is an HTTPS service, and you can see that we can reach intersight.com and that it's healthy. I can do a trace route to intersight.com as well. Trace route svc.intersight.com. And again, by the way, it's important to note here, you might be wondering, what is that first hop? Well, that is the vEat pair that lives on the appliance and provides access to the restricted shell. So that allows you to get out of the shell, out of the restricted shell environment, and then you get out of the appliance here. Some other commands, as I said, we also have a wrapper TCP dump, which is called public TCP dump. And here you can see that I can now do a TCP dump on the external IP address of the appliance. So this was it. Just a quick overview of some of the new troubleshooting capabilities that are now available to anyone for the Cisco Intersight appliance. I hope you find this useful, and let me know if you have any more requests for tools which are missing. Thank you very much.